Hey everybody, this is Matt. Welcome back to the channel. I wanted to respond to a question that one of my fans had, is that what are the different types of wood that I use and how they are different. So I wanted to take just a minute just to put a quick video together. I really only have experience in 3 different types of wood, I guess you could say, and the three are shown here. We got basswood, which is the Santa Claus I'm working on right now. This is some cottonwood bark, and then this is cedar. So I'll start with the basswood. Basswood is relatively soft. It's easy to carve. It's a favorite of most wood carvers. It doesn't take a whole lot of pressure or strength really to carve it out. The only concern is that it really doesn't have a really pretty grain. It's so light colored and soft as far as the color goes that you can't really get the grain to come out. And so in that regard, most wood carvers will paint a basswood carving. That's what I'm going to do with the Santa Claus once I finish with it. Next is this piece of cedar. Cedar is usually it's a little bit harder, I guess, than basswood. Not by a whole lot. It's not by a whole lot. It still carves pretty easy. It's got a beautiful grain. I mean, it really does. And some people do some really amazing work with it. The only thing I don't really like about it that much is it tends to splinter pretty easy. It's very difficult to carve. I definitely would say this is more like an intermediate carving wood. It also has a lot of knots. You can see that this little piece that I've got has 2 different knots on it. This is just an old cowboy that I tried to carve a while back. I never did end up finishing him. And last is my favorite, the cottonwood bark. This is just the bark. This is not actually wood. So both of these other ones here, they're the actual wood. This is not. This is the bark. And so you can see, like, this is the end where the tree itself would have been. The wood part of the tree is on this side, so this is the outer layer of bark right here. So you can tell just by, if you can think about the radius of the tree, you can see how that has a very small, a very large radius. This tree would be pretty big. So there would be quite a few pieces of bark falling off of this tree. Bark like this, the cottonwood tree is some type of a poplar tree, I believe. And bark like this only grows in areas where it's very cold, or it gets very cold. And the theory that I've heard, and it makes the most sense, is that the colder that it is, the thicker the bark has to be. So it makes sense to me. The way they harvest this stuff is that usually they harvest it off a dead tree. There's folks, I guess, out in the Northwest and Montana and Nebraska that'll walk around out in the woods and try and find old cottonwood trees where the bark has fell off, and they'll take the bark home, and I believe they put it up for about a year or something, let it get real good and dry. I'm not really sure how exactly it works. Maybe it falls off. It takes about a year for it to fall off naturally. That might be what it is. Either way, once it gets real nice and dry, you can carve it, and it's a lot of fun to carve. And the grain on it is also really beautiful, especially once you put a little bit of feed and wax or some sort of a polisher or conditioner on it, and it'll really make that grain pop out. Around where I'm from in North Carolina, down in Southeast, we have cottonwood trees, but we don't get bark like this. So I gotta imagine that it has something to do with how cold it is. Either way, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. It's pretty simple, pretty quick. I just wanted to kind of give a little bit of information on the types of wood I carve. So maybe here in the future we'll try some different stuff, but for now, that's what I got. Thanks guys. If you like the video, please like, subscribe, and we'll see you next time. Have a good one.